So I'm going to preface this with letting you guys know, for right now, the comments are turned on for this live video. I have considered that until election season, turning off the comments for my live videos. And that is because I will be doing some endorsements. And it seems that there are some individuals that have issues with that. I'm gonna let you know that, this page I do for free. And, I am free to endorse the candidates that I feel are best for West Virginia, for Marion County, for our students, for education, and for our citizens. I've done that for the last 3 years. And there are a lot of people in this county and in the state that endorse people each and every day. And you are free to do that. And you are free to disagree with me. And I welcome that. This page has a lot of people that disagree with me. And anyone who tells you that I block people because they disagree with me are lying to you. They want you to believe that that is what I do. And that is not what I do. And you can go through the comments, and you can go through multiple posts that are controversial or not controversial, and you'll see plenty of people that disagree with me. They disagree with me each and every day. Anyone who tells you that they've been blocked because they disagree with me is giving you a narrative because they don't want you to know, oh, I got lipstick on my tooth. I don't want you to know that they were blocked because they abused me or they harassed me or they sent me multiple messages, and that's really why they were blocked. Because people will tell you, oh, I disagree with Nicole all the time, or I've posted things that she didn't like, and there have been people that have posted things where I've sent them messages and said, listen, you have to not write that, or listen, you got too much, please don't do that again. And I've given them the benefit of the doubt and asked them, and I said, listen, I deleted this comment, please, you can't do that. And they'll send me back a message and say, okay, thanks for the warning. And then recently I blocked 2 individuals because they were getting too much. One time I actually didn't block an individual, I just shut the comments off, and their daughter sent me a slew of messages, and then I blocked her, and then she sent me a slew of messages on my private Facebook, and I blocked her. And then she told me I just must block people because they disagree with me. It's just a narrative that they like to spin. I'm free to endorse who I want. That's my right. And if you don't like it, you're free to make your own Facebook page. That's the freedom of this country. It's amazing. We live in an amazing country that we have here. So that's what I do. If people are so afraid of my voice, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. They want me to be quiet because they must think that what I say is powerful enough, that I must hit the nail on the head sometimes. I must speak some truth to power. And I will continue to do so. And I will continue to expose those that I think are liars and that I think are not good for West Virginia. And you are free to disagree with me, but you are not free to abuse me. You are not free to harass me. And you are not free to spit hate and bigotry on this page. I will not tolerate it. I will not tolerate you abusing people that are good. And that includes people in this community that are good individuals, simply because you want your candidate to win. And I know a lot of things about a lot of people in this community that I haven't exposed. And I won't do it because I'm not a mudslinger, but I will expose bad people for who they are. And I won't endorse bad people simply because they're friends of yours. And if that's the content of your character, that's fine, but you do so on your personal page. Don't come here and get angry at me because I'm not towing party lines. So here, I'm going to talk about some things from the State Board of Education, and I won't go through. The State Board of Education meetings are extremely long. They're not like here in Marion County where we have a specific agenda and, it's, 45 minutes and they go in executive session and they just give awards. They're extremely extensive and they cover the entire state. So when I cover them, I try to take out pertinent information that I feel is really topics that need to be discussed and amplified. So this State Board of Education here on Wednesday, I felt that the most important topic that needs to be discussed, especially for election season now, had to do with the amendments and had to do with the teacher crisis. It was a very big topic that was discussed. There were all of the presidents of the 3 unions came up and spoke. And that was Fred Albert from AFT, Dale Lee from the WVEA, and David Gladskowski from the West Virginia Professional Educators. They all 3 spoke, so I'm not going to individualize what they spoke about, and I'm going to give you the broad range of their discussions. And it was very, very scary because I don't think that we truly understood, even myself, who understands education in West Virginia and speaks on these and talks to educators, I wasn't really aware of the dire straits that we are in right now. So let me just give you some information about where we're here right now in West Virginia. West Virginia is at a crisis with our educators. Currently, we have 79% of educators in West Virginia that are dissatisfied in their positions. By the end of the school year, 1/3 of our educators will leave their professions. 1/3. So right now, where we are at our shortage of educators, where we are at a shortage of substitutes, by the end of this school year, 1/3 will also be gone. So imagine at where we'll be. If we're already at a shortage right now, where we'll be at the end of this school year and how bad it will currently be. West Virginia, teachers in that profession used to be a tenured profession. And now teachers that are coming into the profession, young teachers, are then leaving. Young teachers. So we knew teachers that would come into the profession and they would retire as teachers. But teachers are coming in and they're leaving 2-3 years later. They're not staying. They're leaving immediately. So this is no longer a tenured profession. They spoke about how COVID is very, very real still for teachers. And so when they get COVID, they are now gone for a week or 2 weeks with COVID. And sick days, not like it used to be, where that sick days would be put to experience or to their pension. You don't use it, you lose it. So teachers that have sick days or accumulated sick days, they're using that. So even if they don't have COVID, they're using those sick days, so they're out. So if we only have a small amount of teachers in the profession, they're using their sick days, so they're not working. They have to use them. They don't have any choice. Even if they don't want to use those sick days, even if they wish they could bank them or put them aside, they have to use those days or they'll lose them. So they're not there working. They don't have any choice. That's the way that it's written. They changed that. So they have to use the days, so they're not there. And yet we don't have substitutes to cover for that. That's not a choice that they want to make. It's not like they don't want to be in their classroom. But it's the way that it's written now. Their salaries, they're not competitive to other states, especially here in North Central West Virginia, or if we go down near Ohio or to the border. We're not talking about Central West Virginia. We're talking about anywhere we border. They're not competitive to the other states. If we're here, it is what? A 40-minute drive right over to Pennsylvania where they can make a lot more money. Why not? Why wouldn't they? There's a teacher shortage in this entire country. Why wouldn't they just go right over to PA and make a lot more money than they make here? Why not? Why wouldn't they go to Maryland or Virginia or Ohio and make a lot more money? Why would they work here? If there's a teacher shortage everywhere and they are welcomed, why not just cross right over the border? They can live here cheaply and work there and make more money. Why not? We're not paying them, and we sure the hell aren't appreciating them. Right? Every turn of the corner, we're telling them they're not good, that they suck, and we don't need them. So their workload is obviously overwhelming because we don't have enough of them, so we're just piling on more and more. They're underappreciated. And the legislation is just adding on more and more training. Because for some reason, we feel like their graduate degrees and all of their certificates and everything that we're given, we're adding more and more and more training. But all of these new teachers that came in, we're lowering the standards in which they need to be teachers. But all the teachers that are already here, that already have all of these degrees, hey, listen, you got them all, but guess what? We want you to spend 17,000 hours in training to learn what you obviously don't know how to do because you aren't a good enough teacher. We don't know anything about education, but we want you to go learn how to be a teacher. And do it for free. Do it for free. We're not going to pay you extra to do it. Go to school again because you didn't already go to school for umpteen thousand hours and years to be a teacher, but we want you to learn more because we think you need to. But we're going to lower the certificates for people coming in to be a teacher because we're desperate. But we don't want to pay you more. But hey, listen, we're not going to let you bank those sick days. And we're going to tell you you don't know shit. But it's not just teachers, right? It's not just teachers. It's the service too. Because bus drivers are doing 2-3 runs, right? Bus drivers are overworked. And our cooks are overworked. And our aides are covering classrooms because they don't have enough, right? We have reading specialists that are not certified in reading. Title I teachers that are not certified in Title I. They're not reading specialists. How can you teach children in reading specializations if you're not a certified reading teacher? How is that possible? We are not hiring specialized reading teachers. Do you know that teaching a child to read specialized reading, not just a second grade teacher or a fifth grade teacher, to be a specialized reading teacher, you need a specialized degree, but we're not doing that because we don't have enough. So we're just hiring anyone who will take the position. What? Because we don't have it. We're desperate. Hey, you want to be a specialized reading teacher? Sure. Sure, we'll take you. We'll just take you. So this is where we're at. This is the crisis of West Virginia. And then we're going to look at our education system, who we are 45th right now in the entire country. 45th in the country for education. This is where we stood last year, 45th. And we are now lowering ourselves. And at the end of this school year, 1/3 of our teachers are going to be gone. So if we were already at 45, where will we be at the end of next school year? We're definitely not going to be at 40. We're definitely not going up in the rankings. I guarantee that. Because how could we possibly go up? Unless Jim Justice, of course, gets out his magic crayons and then recolors everything like he did during COVID and makes his own standard of what it is, right? Because West Virginia can rank themselves in whatever they want. They come up with their own rules of where we are. Because we're blind to the rest of the country. We decide that we're the best at everything, right? We don't see anything else. If we say that we're the best, right? If we say it's not corrupt, it's not corrupt. If we say it is, it is. Forget about what everybody else is. Everybody else is wrong and we're right. If we say our teachers aren't good enough, they're not good enough. If we say they make enough money, then they must make enough money. But if we learned anything during COVID, it's that parents don't want to teach their own children. That we need our teachers more than anything, right? And then we got this Hope Scholarship thing that everybody wanted because apparently people felt that they didn't have school choice. We have school choice in West Virginia. You can put your child into any single county in this entire state. In any school that you want to, you have that option. It was propaganda to make you think otherwise. If you didn't want your child to go to West Middle School or to Monongah or to JN, you didn't have to. You could put them anywhere that you wanted to put them. You wanted to homeschool them, you could homeschool them. You had that option. You could do whatever you want. You want to put them in Harrison County or Mon County? You want to put them in Randolph County, in Upshur County? You had that choice. We passed that a long time ago. They made you think that you didn't. And what this does is that it takes money away from public schools, less money for the infrastructure and the education and to pay those teachers that need to be paid for the children in that school. And then if you decide later on that you no longer want that, and you decide now to put your children back into the school system, well, then now we have to make up that money with less money, worse education. And it just goes down. And then the county now has less. The school rankings go down. The county gets worse. The property ratings go down, and we fail some more. But those charter schools that make a profit, they get richer. And those that invest in those lobbyists like Larry Puccio, the ones that work for Jim Justice, who wanted those charter schools, and Joe Manchin, Larry Puccio's best friend, they get rich. The billionaires, they get rich. And you, the citizens of West Virginia, the ones that are constantly pulling yourself up by bootstraps, the blue-collar workers, that all you want is a better education for your children, the school teachers, the men that get up every day and go to the coal mines, the factories, because you want your wife to have something beautiful. You want your child to have better than what you have, so maybe they don't have to struggle and get up at 6 a.m. every day to go to work. You don't get what Jim Justice has and his 4 cars, coal 1, coal 2, coal 3. You don't get what Larry Puccio has and Joe Manchin has. You just want your children to have better. And they buy you and they sell you a bill of goods with school choice. You had school choice. Stop buying what they're selling you. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You're smarter than that. You're smarter than that because you get up every day and you go to work because you know you want better. I want to talk about the role of university presidents in the state. Here's another something. We look at the university presidents in our state, private and public. I want to call them out for a second. We have so many university presidents in this state, and we look toward them and their boards. And Fairmont State right now, let's call them out for a second. Fairmont State is currently looking for a university president, and I guarantee you that on top of that list is going to be a man named Rocco. And that's going to be something that you're going to look at because Rocco has been on the top of that list a multitude of times. And I'll tell you, the last time he was on that list, they skewed the numbers on that one and they tried to get him up there before Martin. And I know from an inside source on that vote that they skewed the numbers and David Goldberg attempted to get him ahead of the line. And they altered the vote-in by giving him all 5s when others did not want him and he didn't have the credentials. So if he gets at the top of that list of the presidential search committee, he doesn't have the credentials and that was a skewed vote to get another insider in that one. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to call that one out right now because when I did a 31-page investigation, his name came up multiple times from the insiders of that decision to say, listen, he was called out numerous times. Keep your eye on why they wanted him as an attorney there, why he wanted him as a president, and why do they want him so badly at Fairmont State. There's a reason they want Rocco over there, and his name is continuing to come up in this search committee again and again. But let's forget about that for a second. Moving on. Presidentials. Why are they so significant in our public education? I'll tell you why. The presidents of universities make hundreds of thousands of dollars in their contracts. Okay? There is not a president of a university that makes less than $100,000. Most of them make upwards of $200,000. And a good president, let's say like McGee here, Gee, at WVU probably makes upwards of $300,000. Okay? They make a lot of money. We have a large turnover currently of presidents of universities, a large turnover in West Virginia. Their boards and their boards of trustees have been turning them over quite a lot. Why? Student success, lack of donors, there's a lot of reasons. And what are they doing? They get these students in here And they need to go out and they need to get donors. And they need to make sure their students succeed, and they need to get retention and all of these other things. But why are they failing? Why are they failing? Because their students aren't succeeding. They're not being able to keep their students, and they're not getting the donors they need. So what can they do to succeed better? Their products. Their products are their students. Higher education is failing. Students can't afford it, number one. Students are going digital, and a lot of students aren't even going to higher education. So what can they do? They can step back and they start investing in elementary and secondary education. Why aren't our presidents going and being in the front lines of West Virginia education and saying to our legislators, hold up a second, you are screwing with my product. You are screwing with my product here. University presidents have more clout and more pull with legislators and those that invest in education in West Virginia than any superintendent on the county lines. They absolutely do, with their nice shiny shoes and expensive suits. They have more pull with politicians than Donna Haig does, than Reverend Saunders does, than any principal does. Brad Smith and Marty Roth, they all have more pull than anybody on the county lines. I guarantee it. Why are they not on the front lines saying, pay our teachers more? Stop with this bullshit legislation. Because you're messing with our products. Because if we don't have teachers to educate these students, if we don't have students that are succeeding in elementary school and in high school and junior high, then I don't have students that are going to succeed in college. I don't have students that are going to do great. I don't have a product. And if I don't have a product, then I can't have a successful university. And if I don't have a successful university, then I don't have donors. And if I don't have donors, my ass is on the chopping block and I don't have a contract and I'm gone. So why are they not on the front lines advocating for West Virginia education? Where are our university presidents down in the trenches advocating for elementary and secondary education? Why are we so disconnected in West Virginia when it comes to our education? Because everybody here, from our parents, from our teachers, from our service personnel, from our superintendents, from our legislators, from our university presidents, from our board of trustees and board of governors, from our community members, every single one of us have one thing in common, and these are these children. And I don't understand the disconnect. I don't understand why we are not all stepping back and getting our heads out of our asses and realizing that this is our common goal. To get these children from point A to point B. This is the common goal here. Stop being selfish. It's not about you. It's about them. I want to talk about Amendment 2 and Amendment 4. And again, how this is affecting our children. And get your head out of your asses. Amendment 2 is going to take 27% of our personal property taxes, and it's going to give it to the state to control. Our state is sitting currently on $1.3 billion. $1.3 billion. Last year it got a 90.7% tax revenue. Jim Justice said it was the largest tax revenue in West Virginia history, and yet for some reason that wasn't enough. They need an additional 27% of our property tax. That property tax supplements what they don't give us. It goes to our Board of Education. It goes to our libraries. And here in Marion County, we know that we have one of the best, most amazing public library systems. Do we not? Do we not? Is the Marion County Public Library System not one of the most fantastic? If you do not frequent the Marion Public Library System, you have to. They have the most amazing programs. It is absolutely spectacular here. Oh my goodness. And I have been all over the country, and it is one of the best. It supplements for our parks. And they want to take 27% of it, and they want to control it. And that's not going to go back into our public education system, because if they wanted to, they would. Have you ever heard that before? Have you ever heard anybody ever said that? If you've ever been on social media, if you've ever been in a therapist, if you've ever had a good girlfriend who ever told you that about a relationship, if they wanted to, they would. At $1.3 billion, if they wanted to, they would. They would have already invested that into our schools. What are they doing with it? $90.7 million, and they have all of that. Why would they want more? All they do is like an abusive, toxic relationship. They take, and they don't give. 55 counties and $1.3 billion, and yet for some reason, our streets continue to flood. I know, my house floods all the time, every time it rains. I fix my front steps every single freaking year. Over and over again. And every summer they crack and break. My mailman has to walk on them, and I'm embarrassed. I had Joey Garcia come knock on my door yesterday, and it was humiliating because he had to see my front steps. Hey, listen, it happens every year because every single time it rains, they crack and they break because we live in a flood place. What can I do? It's what happens. It's West Virginia. We're constantly flooding. I can fix it over and over again. It doesn't matter. It's what happens, just like our roads. It's what happens, right? Our roads are constantly breaking and cracking because we're constantly flooding. $1.3 billion. I'm sure we could do something about the flooding in West Virginia. Build something. Worst infrastructure. I think we're number 48. Number 48 in the entire country for infrastructure, but you got $1.3 billion. But guess what? Joe Manchin from the Department of Transportation got federal funding. $8 million for West Virginia in federal funding for our airports, and $5 million of that went to the Greenbrier Airport, Jim Justice's airport. How? What a coincidence. We have how many airports in the state of West Virginia? And Jim Justice's airport got $5 million of it? It's one of the smallest airports in all of West Virginia. What a coinkadink. What a coinkadink with all of the airports and all of what Did Morgantown Airport get any of that money? No. Morgantown Airport didn't get any of that money. No. Why would Jim Justice's airport get $5 million of an $8 million fund? Huh. I wonder how that happened. Do you think they give a shit about you? No, they don't. They don't. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that Larry Puccio is Jim Justice's best friend and also is a lobbyist for the Greenbrier Airport. Oh my goodness, how did that happen? Because they don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about you. Open your eyes, people. It's all political. They don't give a shit about you. So unless you give a shit about your neighbor, no matter whose sign is in their yard, because they don't know better. We're in this together. We're in this together. You and me and my neighbor. My neighbor across the street, me and her, we might have different political affiliations, but we're in it together. You know why we're in it together? Because we live across the street from each other. She and me, we don't live near Jim Justice. He doesn't give a shit about her. He don't give a shit about me. But me and her, we care about each other. Because we live on the same street. And if something should happen, I know where I'm going. And she's the one I'm going to care about. Because we're in this together. And so should you. You should care about your neighbor. We're in this together. Don't let them divide us. Amendment 4, what Amendment 4 does is Amendment 4 takes all of our policies and our things that have to do with our education system, and it allows legislators to make those decisions. It allows them to decide what to do instead of our State Board of Education. That's what that does. Deborah Sullivan, who's a State Board of Education board member, she made a statement at the State Board of Education, and I thought it was very, very well said. It was so well done that after the Board of Education meeting, I actually went up to her and I introduced myself, and I asked her if I could get a copy of the statement, and she was kind of taken back actually by me approaching her and asking for this, but I don't get any fear from people. I think that's one of my superpowers. And I always tell people, speaking to strangers is my superpower. I have no fear of going up to someone and asking for things like that. She was very, very kind, and she promised me that she would email me the statement, and she did. She emailed it to me later on that day, and I posted it for you guys to all read, and I encourage you to read her words, and I wanted you to read them as is. I didn't want to recap what she had said, because I wanted you to read them as she wrote them, because I thought how she said it and what she said was very, very important. And so that's why I posted it. But I would like to continue on and elaborate on some other things. So Amendment 4, like I said, was to take education matters and policies and give them to legislators to decide on. I want to continue on with this and add to this for anybody who thinks this is a good idea. Senator Craig Blair, who wants this, he spoke at the State Board of Education meeting himself when he discussed why he had removed Senator Patricia Rucker from the Education Committee as chair and put Amy Grady in that position, a teacher. He put Amy Grady in that position. He had stated he put her in that position because he felt he didn't want a plumber to do an electrician's job. He said, I would never send a plumber to do an electrician's job. He felt that a teacher needed to be in that position. What? So why would you take educational matters away from the State Board of Education and put them in the hands of a bunch of politicians who have never been educators, who don't know education and have no idea what they're talking about? Why would you put a plumber to do an electrician's job, Senator Blair? You have literally made the point for us. You yourself have given us your own talking points. There you go. You have just stated the very reason why Amendment 4 should not be passed. Thank you, Senator Blair. So in the words of Senator Blair, do not send a plumber to do an electrician's job. Do not, under any circumstances, in the words of Senator Blair, allow politicians to make decisions for educators. Do not allow these politicians to pass policies and make decisions that the State Board of Education should make. Things should stay with educators. They do not know education. And when it stays with the educators, when it stays with the State Board of Education, guess who has input? You do. You have the input. When policies or decisions come up, they go, and you get to write, and you get to decide, and you get to have comment, and they're open for comment. When policies come up, you get to write, and they get to be there, and they get reviewed. When they go to the legislators, you don't have that right. You don't have a say. You don't have a say. So you have to decide where you want this to go. Do you want it to stay with the State Board of Education where you have input on your children's education and on the policies that being passed? Because this is another thing where you sit there and say, well, I want my politicians, I want things to change with education, but you are being misinformed, you are being lied to. You are having the wool pull over your eyes with a bunch of propaganda and fast speaking. You have more say now with the policies that are being passed than they would be, because once they get put to the floor of the Senate and of the House, you don't have a say. You won't have a say. You don't get to stand up there and speak. You get 30 seconds on that floor and they may or may not listen to you. But when they're at the State Board of Education, you have more say. You have more of a voice. You have more of an input than you would then. That is the point. Keep that in mind. So I want to talk about my endorsements for education. And I want to tell you why. I have some more endorsements for City Council that I'll be discussing. But for right now, I want to talk about these two endorsements right now. And these are for my endorsements for Delegate and why. So I have two of them, and one of them I think you might have already suspected, and I'm endorsing John Boy Palmer for the House of Delegates against Mike DeVault. And I'm doing that because I think that John Boy Palmer is an amazing person. And after what we saw in the previous weeks, I think that was a given. I think he is a good man. And I think that John Boy Palmer has a good heart. I think John Boy Palmer is somebody who loves his community. I think John Boy Palmer is somebody who will stand up for Marion County. I think he's somebody that will do right by us. And I think that John Boy Palmer is somebody who has shown us that he will stand up to the state. He has shown us that he will fight those battles, even when they're tough. He does not slink away, and he can take on bullies, and he can take on hate, and he can take on the hard conversations, and he can still continue on and fight. John Boy Palmer is one of us. He works a blue-collar job, and he knows the battles, and he gets up every single day, and he knows the struggles of the people of this community, and he knows what it takes to be a part of this community, and he knows what it is that we need. And he will go down to Charleston, and he will advocate for the people of this community and not those in power of the community. He will advocate for the members of the community, the people that get up every day and work to keep this community going. That's who John Boy Palmer is. And those are the people that John Boy Palmer will be fighting for. And that's why John Boy Palmer has my endorsement for the House of Delegates. My other endorsement for the House of Delegates, I think that this is a given for anybody who has followed me for 3 years, and that's going to be Stephanie Tomana. Stephanie Tomana is a teacher. And obviously, I'm an advocate for teachers in education. Stephanie Tomana is an amazing teacher and a spectacular woman. In the words of Craig Blair, do not send a plumber to do an electrician's job. Phil Mallow knows nothing about education. Phil Mallow knows nothing about Marion County or the people of it. Phil Mallow has stated multiple times in his speeches recently that he has advocated for teachers and teacher pay, and that is a lie. And I will tell you why that is a lie, because I have spoken with Phil Mallow personally. And Phil Mallow has told me on numerous occasions that teachers get paid too much. Phil Mallow has told me on numerous occasions that a teacher pay is okay because they can marry another teacher and have a dual income household and make approximately $50,000 a year, and that should sustain them plenty. I know that because Phil Mallow sent me the teacher pay scale and showed me how this is feasible. And I pushed back and explained to him that not every teacher marries another teacher. And what about these single teachers who raise children and live paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet? And that we don't live in the 1950s and expect women's pay to be determined by whom she marries. That is unfair. Phil Mallow disagreed. Phil Mallow is a misogynistic person who apparently feels that a woman's worth is only determined by the person that they marry, and that teachers make too much. He does not know education. I've had conversations with Phil Mallow in which he said that the problem with the classroom cuts was because teachers didn't want to drive to another school. Not because classrooms were going to be overcrowded, not because our children were going to lose out, not because the children's education was going to fail or the principals were being demoted, or because the superintendent passed a policy that she lied to the board members about or brought in a teacher from another county and did not promote a teacher from within county. No, he said because teachers were being selfish and didn't want to drive to another school. And I said to him, that's not true. Why would a teacher care whether or not she was driving a Whitehall or a JN? What's that? I know somebody told me that. Well, I don't know who told you that, but I know because I talk to multiple teachers and principals each and every day, and this is what I do, and I'm the one advocating for the hearing. So I don't know who told you that, Mr. Mallow. That's not accurate information. But he dug in his heels because he apparently knows everything about Marion County education. That is not true. Phil Mallow knows nothing about education. Phil Mallow does not believe in education. Phil Mallow is not a teacher. Phil Mallow is not Stephanie Tomana. If you want your children to succeed, you need to vote for Stephanie Tomana. I promise you, she will go down to Charleston and she will do everything to help Marion County. She will absolutely make us so proud. She knows Marion County. She knows education. She has been a teacher, and she will fight like nobody's business. I am so proud to know her. I am so proud to know her. And she will do everything in her power to make sure those legislations are amazing. And she will help us in so many ways. She will help our children in so many ways. We deserve her, and we deserve an electrician's job. And hey, listen, that's not coming from me. That's not coming from me. That's coming from your conservative Republican Senate President Craig Blair. That's coming from your conservative Republican Senate President Craig Blair. He wants you to elect Stephanie Tomana. He has endorsed Stephanie Tomana. He wants a teacher in that position. Your conservative Republican Craig Blair says an electrician should be an electrician's job. That's coming from him. That's not coming from me. Senate Craig Blair wants you not to vote for Amendment 4. That's coming from Senate President Craig Blair, not from me. He says that only educators should vote on education. That's from conservative Republican Craig Blair, not from me. Only let electricians do electricians' job. Listen to that. If you only toe party lines, then you should listen to him. Right? I'm just saying. If you are a person who only toes party lines, then listen to Senate Craig Blair. He's a conservative Republican, and that's what he said. Don't listen to independent Nicole Walls, who doesn't toe party lines because she only speaks the truth, and I go back and forth and just call it as I see it. I call a spade a spade. But conservative Republican Craig Blair wants you to vote for Stephanie Tomana, and he wants you to vote no on Amendment 2 and 4. And that is coming from his own words. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.